what you need. You get sitting chair.
We apologize for this delay.
What's the picture look like? I can't. What's the picture look like? Yeah, I want to catch people more than the screen. Just, that looks good. If you guys
Can you all hear me?
Can you all hear me? Okay.
Okay. Hi, my name is Helen, Vincent's wife. We, like you said, we are Malaysians, and we moved to Thailand. Well, I moved to Thailand 2018, and he joined me shortly after. I'm just going to try to take about 10 minutes to go through what we actually do. Vincent mentioned briefly, but he was a little vague about the details. I think he left it for me to explain.
Yes.
Yeah. So we work with women and children who have been impacted by exploitation and trauma. And by exploitation, I mean sexual abuse, domestic abuse, prostitution, and sex trafficking. And what we do is we help provide them with the love and care that we can through the love of Jesus that He has shown to us. So I started this long ago in Malaysia, but I got very prompted to visit Thailand and then move there in 2018. And while my husband was preaching, he mentioned many of the things that I do, but I want to set the record clear that we have a team of women who run this organization with me, and I most definitely cannot do it alone. So we are a survivor-led organization, which means that a lot of the leadership positions in our organization is held by women who have come out of exploitation or who are walking through a journey of healing and still in the midst of discovering and learning to live out the plan and purpose that Jesus has for them. It's not an easy task, as we all know, because even if you have not been impacted by great trauma in your life, it's hard enough as it is. We live in a fallen world, and even as we get up every morning and walk out of our house thinking we're having a good day, something always comes up on most days that can easily trigger us and cause us to either stumble or just have a not so nice day. But we're talking about women and children who have gone through childhood, who are that was just very abusive and very traumatic. And here we are trying to show them the love and hoping that somewhere along the way they connect with the love of God and they are able to then function in this world that just sometimes doesn't provide them the opportunity and the honor and respect that they deserve. So how do we do what we do? We have a group of amazing, dynamic women who run the organization with me and Vincent. One of them is Laurie, that some of you may know. She's an amazing leader that we met in 2019, who came alongside us. I was driving home one day and I thought, we're providing all this food for all these women. They're sleeping on the streets, they have no food to eat, they have nothing to do. How do we provide for them in a way that it's sustaining? How are we able to provide employment for these women? And the thought came to my mind. I said, and I thought, oh, it'll be great if I have a couple of sewing machines and then someone who can teach them how to sew as well. Because we had a group of, I don't know, hundreds of women who were just looking for food and money to send back home. I go home that day in the evening and I get a text message from Laurie, a friend of this church, who said, hey Helen, our organization has a couple of sewing machines that we want to give away. Would you have any use for it? I didn't talk to her anything about this. So I just love telling that story because that is just the premises of how our organization was built. It was built by God just putting in the hearts of a few of us saying that, hey, there's a need that you need to look at. And as I go along very quickly in the next hopefully just 8 minutes about everything that we do, I just want to summarize it before I start to say that the need is not just in Thailand, Chiang Mai, or Malaysia, Laos, Myanmar, China, or wherever else we work. The need is right wherever you are. There are people exploited everywhere, in every part of the world, in every nation, in every city. Women and children facing gender-based exploitation, abuse, and sexual violence in every city that each of us can think of or represent. And knowing that itself is a need. And if there is a need, we have a God that will meet the need. All we have to do is say yes to that. So if you get inspired by just what we're doing today, I just want to say that one thing that we can do is just ask God, what can we do in the place that we are at? And if you get inspired by what we do in Thailand, then you don't really have to travel to Thailand. There's so many ways that you can help us. One is to pray for us. We need loads and loads of prayer. We are having 13, 14, 15-year-olds walking into our drop-in center, being impacted by exploitation and sexual violence, and being lured into prostitution because they're trying to provide for their family. And any one of us know that's just not right. I don't think we need someone standing up here to say that children should be in school and not be on the streets prostituting because they have to put food on their table for their sick parents or because that's the only way they need to survive. So our main ministry is through a drop-in center. We have a drop-in center for women and children right in the red light district. So they come in through recommendation from other women, from other organizations, and the government as well. After 4 years, the government has started recognizing us and are now in the midst of getting us to apply to be an anti-trafficking organization in Thailand, which will be a very big step because it will help the women leadership that we have who are all Thais mainly. Through our drop-in center, we have a lot of outreach. The outreach is led now the past few months by Laurie. She goes out with the team and she meets with the women and has conversations with them, asking about their need to find out what do they really need and how we can support them. Through the drop-in center as well, we have a lot of women now coming in, like I said, who are just very underage because of the war that's happening in Myanmar and a lot of the online scamming that's happening in Southeast Asia. Droves of families are crossing the border and not having anywhere to go. And because of visa situations, the parents cannot work because if they get caught, they're sent back and the kids are left here by themselves. So the children are being sent out into the sex trade, which shouldn't be happening. So we had 1-2 girls walk in and then we thought there's more. How can we do that? So the team is out there now looking to see who we can find. How do we get the word out there that we want them all out of this trade, and we've put many of them back to school and found their parents, trying to get visa for their parents and trying to get employment for their parents. Through our drop-in center, we also provide loads of skills training. We provide English classes that is led by a wonderful group of people. And Laurie started that group going through her outreach, and now we have a whole waiting list of women who want to come in for that. We have computer training, skills training. What we're trying to do is provide options and opportunities for these women so that they know that there's so much more that they can do in spite and despite the circumstances that life has provided for them before. We also provide a chunk of what we do is provide employment. Alternative employment is one way of letting the women know that, hey, you are valued, there's a huge worth in your life, bought by the blood of Jesus, and we honor you. So we provide them the skills training. We have a cafe, a nail salon, a retail store, we have a production house. We have 31 people on our staff force now of women who have come out of the sex trade and also domestic violence. We have an education center that provides school. We send them all back to school as much as we can. As form of a preventive measure, we have 13 young girls in college now. So an opportunity that they will never get, that they never thought they can get. Getting them out of poverty, getting them education will then provide a whole opening of a new world for them, and we are hoping that through them that we can shift what's happening through the generational line, and the buck stops with them, and they are then empowered, and their agency for who they are is restored, so that anything comes their way, they can just say no. There's so much more that I can do than lured back into the lifestyle that I chose before, or I have been manipulated to take on before. We also have a restoration house. We have a group of counselors that provide counseling for them, and they come in to us. We provide case management, finding out what they need. Do they need a safe house? We worked with another organization for a safe house, but now we're starting to realize that a lot of the cases we're getting now is very deep and dark. The battle has been won. I really believe that, but what we see every day, it's just very painful. It just feels like it's getting darker, and the underworld is getting more creative on how they're going to deal with women and children for exploitation. So there's the safe house that we work with. They do not take heavy cases that sometimes come to us. So we are now raising funds for our own safe house next year, so that we are able to take in these cases, provide them with the restoration of faith, the restoration of their emotions and self, and also healthcare. Healthcare is massive. We have loads of women coming to us not having any form of healthcare, or just walking around with pain in their bodies, when all they have to do is go into the hospitals to check. They're not treated well, they're not taken care of well in the hospital. So we have a group of nurses that come in, and next year we're having a sexual nurse come in, so that we can go into their workplaces and give them the treatment and the check that they need for whatever it is that might be, so that we are able to detect any illness early and provide them the treatment that they need. These are milestones that I tried to rush through because of time, and they are great testimony of what God is doing. We have 40 over children in school, 13 girls in college, hundreds of women that have been impacted. We've had many baptisms and many daily stories of women saying yes to Jesus. But here's the truth. 2 months ago, we had a girl who did not make it on time for baptism, but it's okay. Jesus saw her. She took her life, because no matter how much we said we loved her, she did not believe it. We had a girl 1 year ago who died in the hospital before we could get to her, because they refused treatment, and she wasn't even clothed well when she died, because they did not think that she needed to be honored because of the profession that she chose. We have a mother who we've been journeying with for 5 years, who's been battling addiction in and out. And she's been to rehab, but she just cannot get out of the addiction of alcohol and drugs. The reason they get addicted to alcohol and drugs is because that's the only way they can cope with the profession that they have been forced into. No woman can be with a man, 10 men a day, and not want to drink and get addicted to drugs in order to cope. Her son was working with us, this woman that I was just talking about, and last week, because of all the anger and resentment he was holding within him, he broke one of the glasses in the apartment he was staying with in having a fight with his girlfriend. He's only 18 years old, and they threatened to put him in prison, and we had to bail him out, because if he went into prison, then the cycle wouldn't have been broken, and it would have been an unbearable pain for our team who's been journeying with him for 2 years. We have a woman who had a wonderful life, but then she lost her husband and all her money, and she didn't know what to do. And because of the cultural mindset and cycle of the place that we work in, she was lured into prostitution and is now an alcoholic and drug addict, and she's sometimes found sleeping on the streets. So this is the reality, and it's just probably 10% of what we deal with. But we have a great team, we have a great God, we have a God who sees, a God who hears, and we do have many great testimonies. But I'm here just to represent our organization, to firstly thank you guys for giving us a space to share what's going on the other side of the world, to thank the Mennonite community for Laurie, because she's partnering with us in an amazing way, and to just ask that when you do remember us, that you keep us in prayer for the many women and children out there who we have not met yet, who are still crying out for Jesus. We have 3-4-year-olds who are trapped in forced pornography and sexual abuse. And I won't say forced pornography, because with children they can't consent, so that's child abuse. So your prayer is what we most would appreciate. But more than prayer, or I shouldn't say more than prayer, but alongside with prayer, we do need a lot of people to come alongside us to talk about what we do, because we are Asians working in Asia, run by survivors and locals, so we do not have the sphere of influence here to raise funds in the United States, and it does matter where the currency comes from. It really does. Our expenses every month come close to $20,000 for everything that we do, and that's not easy. So talk about us, talk about the work we do, find out how you can help here in where you are at, and remember us in prayer. Yeah, thank you.
We'll share the video and then we can have questions from you. Is that all right?
Mm-hmm.
You have the mic up here.
Should we hand these out? Anybody like not sure if we have enough. Do you need some of these yet for tonight?
No.
Okay. I guess you can. We will. I don't know. We have a limited supply. So
All right. Are we ready?
it's not dead. It felt dead. I was gonna eat it soon. That was a lot of information to take in really quick in that video of everything that's happening, everything that's being done. I guess we'll open it up for a time of sharing. If anybody has something, a question or sharing something that touched you this morning, or something, a question you have,